You have direct access to our community site. My assistant will put a link into the chat that you're welcome to sign up to the community site for free. Take advantage of it, because especially a lot of times afterwards, I get these requests that say, "Hey, will you introduce me to this person that said that she could help me with enterprise sales, especially in cybersecurity?" And I'd be like, "Well, that was Teresa Trice, but what you should do is you should connect with her through the community site." Or, "Hey, that guy from Chihuahua that's got this really innovative piece of AI for helping, move, automated hands. Yeah, Alan. Okay, yeah, great. Meet him through the community site. There will be a post inside of the site that says, welcome to the, for the follow-up of the Campfire. You're welcome to plug in there. And it's a great way to stay connected, because we're going to do something special. The thing the whole idea behind the Campfire was, years ago, I started Austin's first co-working space. And the difficulty was, at the time, especially in Austin, there wasn't anywhere near the amount of activity that was happening in Austin concerning ventures. The year is 2003. We're coming out of the year 2001, which was a really hard time to be in Austin. The problem was that that we didn't have any of the activities that you might have seen in Silicon Valley. When I worked for the Steve Jobs startup Next in Silicon Valley, everything was there. And, Austin was a nice place to live. September 11th had been a hard set of events to go through. And it's just, things are moving slow. And so part of what we're going to do, though, is I learned that we could create connective tissue and build an ecosystem very quickly. And so the whole idea about this is, that which we did years ago, we're going to do together as a community worldwide. We'll be talking more about this and about the power of this. You won't believe me until you've had an experience of it. And then you'll be like, crap, we got to do this all the time. Now, we're not going to necessarily do campfire meetings all the time. I definitely want to bring it back to at least every 2 months. We used to do them every 2 weeks. In the Austin area alone, more than 10,000 people have participated in this program that we're going to do a variant of with each other during our time together. But just hopping right in, just to give you an idea of what we're going to do, we're going to try to keep things going really quick. But I want to say welcome to everyone. We're going to talk about what's at risk and what's possible. We'll hear from some of the startups from the community. I'm really excited about those of y'all that just did a shout out earlier, because the part of the power of this is not hearing me talk about anything, right? Yes, I have scar tissue to donate to you and your startups, but the truth is, the real power is when the connections are made. Like, I'm smiling because I'm seeing a handful of you that I put together in a Global Women's Health Initiative. No, I don't know really anything about that, but I know how to connect people, and then something wonderful can come out of that. So we'll hear from some of the startups in the community. We'll talk about some of the events that are happening. We're going to do a connecting exercise. That little taste that we did earlier, I want you to have a taste of how you can take this to a whole different level, and that's what that's going to be about. And then we'll talk about some next steps. I know that a lot of times people have to come in, come out. You're welcome to do that. The main thing that I invite you to try to do, and we'll try to get through these slides as quickly as possible, is to make sure that you participate in the connection part of the event, because it's really unique about what happens. This is not the networking event where you stand there with a drink in hand and nothing really happens. This is the power of the event, and I'll tell you more about that in a second. And the reason that we do this is the context. You've heard this first quote before. The science fiction writer William Gibson says, "The future's already here. It's just not widely distributed yet." The corollary that I started recognizing years ago is all the world's problems have already been solved. Just a matter of connecting the entrepreneur with the solution to the market with the problem. And the key thing is, like, I can give you about 30 different examples of this, where just by chance, I met this person, I introduced him or her to this other person, sometimes on opposite sides of the world. And then, as an example, with some of our projects in Nigeria, as an example, a bunch of people's lives got saved, as well as businesses got built. In that case, all the Nigerian entrepreneurs I was working with were all doctors. and, people's lives got saved because they built businesses that took on infectious diseases. But, you connect a few people around that, and then you can actually create some real leverage that you wouldn't be able to do in your own hometown. That's the whole power of the second statement, the corollary I'm saying. So Tech Ranch, I'm not really here to tell you a lot about Tech Ranch. Go to our website. We've worked with a lot of different entrepreneurs around the world. There are places to plug in if you're a mentor and you want to plug in and help. If you want to bring this work, starting as a volunteer, but then getting involved in the business to your country, you can be a country manager. There's all sorts of different ways of plugging in. For those of you that are watching this right now, the thing you can do is you can go to techranch.com/connect, and there's a bunch of different opportunities there. But that being said, today is not about Tech Ranch. It's about the entrepreneurs that are driving these changes in the world. Just know that we're here to serve you. That's the whole idea. You're the heroes of the story. We're just here to facilitate the work you're doing. The whole idea is to build a world of shared prosperity. Entrepreneurship literacy makes a difference in the world. The large corporations, with all due respect to them, none of them ever solved the problem. It was typically an entrepreneur and a group of people supporting that entrepreneur. And we're here as a community to be that group of people supporting each other to get our businesses to the next level. And this is the reason why. So it's starting to feel a little bit like 2008, 2009. And I don't mean to be doom and gloom. I don't mean this as doom and gloom, because I'm really hopeful. I'm really hopeful because I've seen great things happen. TechCrunch is now listing all of the different, this large list of layoffs. As of the article, when I pulled the article, there was about 140,000 people that have been laid off in the United States alone in the tech world. And this is kind of what corporations do. They get big, they, do some of the business, but it's natural. And it's up to you guys, us, to figure out how to take on some of these things. And one of the difficulties we're up against, and the reason it's going to be kind of difficult to solve some of the things, everyone here knows about the conflicts that are happening because of social media. Social media is being used as a platform not to solve problems, but to create a lot of complaints. And the problem with that is it's dividing us. And part of what we need to do is bring us together. And one of the unique things that we're here to do is to create that culture, because even if the new technologies come out to help us come together even more, even if AI or social media or something like that is there to help solve the problems, we have to actually start cultivating the culture. And this is the whole key thing about why this whole Campfire community idea exists. We have to cultivate the culture of working with each other, right? Working with each other, not just fighting and thinking that that's actually going to solve any of the problems. It never does. So that's what I want to say about social media and kind of the underlying target. Because, there's even more disruptions that are happening. And these are the disruptions that we can either use as entrepreneurs or that can actually end up crushing society even more. If you heard Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, just recently said that AI can be used, and the AI that's coming can be used in a whole different other way. If you think social media is bad, wait till you see what AI unleashes. And so that's why we actually have to work together to make things happen. Now, each one of these disruptions could be used in a negative or a positive. One of the things, and you'll start to see, I'm going to start publishing I've already started, but I'll start publishing a little bit more about what the leading thought thinkers are saying, and about how the 5 fundamental industries are all getting disrupted. Guys like Tony Seba, guys like Nassim Taleb are actually, they're protestating, they're actually saying what is going to come and what's going to change, and how these disruptions are going to radically alter things. In fact, Tony Seba has said that in the next 3 to 5 years, more than 70% of the jobs that exist today are going to fundamentally be shifted. And entrepreneurs are the only people that really, it's because of you guys that we're going to actually have new jobs and new capabilities. And we have to create the culture that brings all these people that are about to be displaced, not just in the United States, but around the whole world. We need to bring them into the fold. these disruptions can be they can be threats or they can be opportunities for us. And that's what we're here to do, is to turn them into opportunities. The difficulty is that this is what we face many times as entrepreneurs. What I'm representing, this is the desert. This is the desert in northern Chile, where we actually got to do a project in a region called Antofagasta. But what it's really supposed to be a metaphor for is this: the Venture Valley of death. The problem with being an entrepreneur is we get a business started and then we suffer. The red line is we're, bleeding cash, we're bleeding tears, we're bleeding all the rough things. And a lot of times the funding environment is not there for us until after we've proved that we've broken even, and then we get funding, right? Especially in the environment we're in right now. And the whole secret, and the reason that I designed the Campfire the way I did, especially when we did it in person, and now we're going to really experiment with this whole idea about doing a virtual, is a lot of times there is no financial capital until you've proven without a shadow of doubt to your investors that you have a business. And what I mean by that is the break-even moment. Now, some of you actually already have proven this to be wrong. You've gotten funding and stuff like that, and I mean to really support you in that, because that's actually really great. But a lot of times, the things that actually will replace financial capital as we cross the Venture Valley of death is social capital. Social capital. What is that? Social capital. Social capital is each one of you has an expertise. There's enough expertise in the muscle that's represented in the people that are here that we can launch all sorts of ventures, and beyond what we might imagine would be possible. And you won't believe me until you've had an experience of it, and then as soon as you had an experience of it, then you'll be like, hey, you're going to be doing this in your own local communities as well as through this virtual connection all the time. It's the social capital that is you helping me, like 5 minutes of your knowledge at the right time in my startup's history is worth tens of thousands of dollars. The main thing we have to get to is find that 5 minutes that really matters, and not charge for it. I'll gladly, happily share my 5 minutes of insight with you if it'll move you forward and create more opportunities, because that's actually how we get ahead. So that's the whole concept here. And like I said, people don't believe me until they have an experience of it. And then they really, and this is, by the way, this is the whole thing that we did here in Austin. They took Austin from being a backwater university government town and turning it into a powerhouse entrepreneurial ecosystem. This is where Austin was not listed in the top 100 entrepreneurial cities on the planet, and it's now in the position 16. And you got to ask, how is it that happened? It happened because a group of us started building social capital with each other. We took advantage of the culture that the hippie musicians that settled Austin did, and working with each other. And some of us tech entrepreneurs started saying, hey, what they do, let's help each other through. So that's the whole idea here. All right, so let's get to it, because it's all about the entrepreneurs that drive things forward. And we've had lots of different experiences. I think I've mentioned these are photos from everywhere from all across Austin, all the way to Europe, or the one to the very right is one of these programs that we ran in the northern part of Sweden. But lots of different stories to tell. I'll share some of the stories later, but the main thing is to know that it's through this that we can change the world together. Because it's all about this global network. Here's some of the different spots in the world that, there's been activities, everything from Santiago to all over Europe, to Nigeria, to Adelaide, Australia, to Japan, and South Korea. So we'll just get right to it versus me telling more stories. The one thing that I will tell you on the history of this photo here, because most people, especially in the United States, we have this thing where we think that competition is what makes things work. But the truth is that even in our history, and even if your family wasn't in one of these Conestoga wagons going to California, like as an example, my family didn't go to California. My family came from parts of Europe. Parts of it was here as native Texans from, thousands of years ago. But my family landed, as an example, in Galveston. The German part landed in Galveston. The photo, though, is this. Your family and my family would buy these Conestoga wagons. We'd meet at a trailhead like St. Louis or something like that. We didn't know each other beforehand, but my family and your family would take an existential risk, risking everything for building a future together. I mentioned the story, and this photo is on the back of our business cards, because part of what we're trying to say is, in the past, to build a future, we'd risk our lives. No one's going to have to, we're not going to do any trust falls. We have to fall back into someone else's arm during the course of this program. There's nothing like that going to happen. But if our ancestors could do this back then we can actually do some really simple steps to actually build this network together during the hour and a half we're going to spend together. So let's get to the next stage. Part of the insight that happened in this idea, I practice a martial art, and I have for almost 28 years now, called Aikido. Aikido is called the Budo of love, the martial art of love. It's still, you can still do a lot of damaging, harming things with it. But the whole idea behind it is to harmonize with the person attacking you. Because if you can learn how to do that, you can take care of yourself and also take care of the person attacking. And it was on the mat that I started realizing, hey, this is a way that entrepreneurs can work together around the world, starting in Austin. Now, it takes 4 things to make this happen, and I'm going to just talk about the values of the community and what we're asking you to operate with us back and forth together, not with Tech Ranch, but with each other. Starts with respect, because if I respect you and you respect me, we don't have to like each other perfectly or anything like that. But as long as there's mutual respect, we can go to the next step, which is risk. Risk is, I'm going to push you, you're going to push me, we're going to get to the next level up. Sometimes that is when we're having a rough day, because entrepreneurship is not for the, it's not for the gentle of heart. It's not easy. I know some of the realities that some of you are operating in are fairly hard to deal with. I've been close to bankruptcy twice in my career. It's not an easy place to be. But part of what we need sometimes, if I know that you respect me and you know that I respect you, if I push you or you push me to pick up and get to the, back up on the mat, as the metaphor would be, then risk is valuable. Like, you'll push me to risk, I'll push you to risk. There's something that entrepreneurs understand and learn in a visceral way that our brethren, our friends that are just employees never get to expose to. And so part of what we have to remember is to support each other in taking this risk, which drives us to our third value, which is community. One of the forgotten values, especially in the United States, about what made this country so strong, and then what makes it powerful for entrepreneurs that can work together, even if it's just like sharing 5 minutes of insight with each other, is if you have a community is the one safety net. In the times that I was close to failure, it's because I had a community that I had a safety net. In the United States, it can be kind of rough if you're trying to do it alone, you're going to get stuck. Community is the whole power behind the social capital I mentioned earlier. And social capital is, that comes out of community. I saw it when I lived in Mexico. I saw it when I lived in Chile. And that a lot of times in the United States, we're so used to the marketplace solving all the problems. In Mexico, when I was living there, you couldn't expect the marketplace would solve the problem. You'd actually have to work in the social space, in the community, which drives us to the fourth thing is, at the end of the week, and Campfires used to be on Friday, and I would say, hey, whether it was a great week or a shitty week, let's celebrate excellence. I'm a recovering perfectionist myself, and I know many of y'all are as well, right? I'm looking at a few of you, and I won't do shout outs for the specific perfectionists that I know that are present here right now. But the thing to remember is, perfection is an abstraction, meaning it doesn't exist. But excellence is you do what you did, you do what you can with what you have. And whatever you did was perfect. I mean, it was excellent. And there might actually, you even can see I'm stumbling through the words because I'm still a recovering perfectionist. I personally struggle with this all the time. And the reminder of this idea of excellence is for us to pick each other up and say, hey, that's excellent. Keep on going, keep on driving. Let's keep on moving forward. So just as a reminder. So perfect. So you guys understand that. And the thing that I asked, whether it's in the course of this program that we're going to do together during this hour and a half that we have together, or if it's on the community site, if you go to community.techranch.com and you sign up and you join in our community, I ask that you abide by these 4 values. This is the one thing that these are the core values that, because they exist and because we discovered them through a lot of practice over the years, this is really what drove things forward. And this is why the social capital that you can find in this community is so powerful. And thankfully, it was because a lot of different, women and men practiced with me over here on the mat, that I learned this in some of the roughest of ways, but also the powerful ways. And then I realized this was the metaphor that I should bring to the table on what we can do as entrepreneurs together. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear from a couple different entrepreneurs. We're going to put Myra on point first. And the main thing I want for the next 4 people that join us, or that the entrepreneurs that we're going to hear from, they're going to give a quick pitch. They're going to tell you a little bit about their business. In Myra's case, she's also going to tell us about an event that she's doing at the end of March in this next year. But the idea is quick pitch. And by the way, entrepreneurs, try to keep it to a minute or so. Let's be really quick. But then the second part is what's the request that you have? You've got a lot of muscle in the room. And sometimes people say, hey, what I'm looking for is funding. Okay, you can go ahead and make that request. But if you had the funding, the more powerful thing is, what would be really powerful for me to find today is this one connection. A good example about what I see connection, because I'm a super connector around the world. I recognize that there are channel partners, there's collaborators here that are already happening. The funny thing about it is I see that y'all have already been handing back and forth on my phone some of the WhatsApp groups that we have, and I bet you there's already connections happening there too. That's beautiful. So Myra, why don't you kick it off and tell us all about Harmony, and make sure you make a really powerful request as well. Come off of mute though, so we can get you in the soap.
Hi, well, thank you so much. That was such a lovely introduction. And on top of that, I'm sure many of you will relate to what we do. So like Kevin said, I'm Myra. I'm in Singapore, but I'm originally from Chihuahua, Mexico. And I see one fellow Chihuahuan in the group as well. So the background is that once upon a time, as founders, as busy professionals, juggling busy lives, we started feeling our health was a little bit off. Probably some of you have felt trouble sleeping, maybe gaining weight, having anxiety, and you don't really get answers. The advice that you hear every day is eat better, sleep more, exercise more. But, if it was that easy, right? So we noticed that more and more people around the world are feeling the same way, and they're stuck in this cycle of frustration. Until one day we realized it wasn't just stress, it is, or it could be hormonal changes. So Inspire and our background working with elite athletes, where we use data to improve performance, we co-founded Harmony, an at-home saliva test and an app that tracks hormones in real time and offers personalized health plans. So because of that, people can now finally understand what's happening in their bodies and start feeling like themselves again, until finally we're helping thousands of people take control of their health with the right of insights. And I wonder if maybe any of you have ever felt like this, or maybe know someone feeling like this, potentially a woman in their mid years, between late 30s and early 40s. So if so, please follow us And if you have any channel connections, we are looking to launch in the US next year. So please send them our way. I'm going to add our link to our website in my profile, LinkedIn profile. So please follow us, connect with us.
Perfect. Thank you, Myra. And by the way, I noticed that a handful of y'all are doing that. Feel free to go ahead and share your LinkedIn profiles. It's a great way to get connected. So Myra, you also have this event that I think I have a slide for here. Let me see. Tell us all
There you
about
go.
Femtech MX.
Yeah, so based on another inspiration of how we have worked across the world with partners like Ilum and Tec de Monterrey, we decided that we wanted to bring the power of the Femtech community that we have experienced outside of Mexico and showcase the power of what Mexico and Chihuahua has to offer for this community. So we are gonna host an event on the 26th to the 27th of March in Chihuahua. Please connect to us, and hopefully we will see you there.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. By the way, so there is, there is a WhatsApp group specifically around global women's health. I know that our community has a lot of different solutions, and part of what we need to do is continue to connect. So make sure you get connected to Myra, and you can ask one of the people that are in that group, which several of you are here tonight. So that's perfect. Plug on in. Thank you, Myra. Okay, well, let's go to the next person. BioGrip. Alan, are you here?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Well, my name is Alan Hernandez, and we believe that technology should be closing the gap between humans and machines, empowering people to be independent again. And this is why we created BioGrip, a wireless nerve machine interface to connect robotic systems to the human body, offering a wide range of solutions, including medical devices, remote surgery, telerobotics, manufacturing, and more. Our sensor membrane collects multiple brain signals and uses artificial intelligence to compare them to a limb motion model, predicting the user's intended movement. Since 2021, we started working with medical devices applications, such as an artificial limb for people with arm amputations, which has given us the opportunity of having our first $150,000 in sales and projects with international manufacturing companies. Last year, we won the Best Technology Award at the Entrepreneurship World Cup in Saudi Arabia and the Santander X Global Challenge in Silicon Valley. And early this year, we were part of the Techsters Boston program, which was really exciting for us. Right now, we're looking for investors to raise $1 million for our first pre-seed round, especially if those investors has connections in the medical devices, rehabilitation devices industries, because we are looking to have our go-to-market strategy in the United States for next year. So very excited to be here.
Thank you, Alan. And since I think we actually had a second slide here, this is, if you want to do a talk over of what's happening.
Yeah, well, what we are doing, or basically our core technology relies on how we were capturing the brain signals and translate those signals into a signal that can be sent wirelessly to a robotic system, to a device, which in this case is the core and the soul of this artificial limb. But what we do is capturing those signals, and myoelectrical signals is a non-invasive human machine interface. So we are collecting something called bioelectrical signals. But the thing with those signals is that most of them are noise. So what we are doing with the AI is translating those signals into something that can be useful. So we are changing an analogical biological signal into a digital signal that can be used for different applications. So as you saw, our first application was a bionic prosthetic arm, but actually we're working in something pretty exciting. We're working in a rehabilitation device for someone that is going to receive a full arm transplant. So we are going to be like the temporary artificial nerve system for this patient. So she will gain mobility right after the surgery, which typically it will take months for this kind of surgeries.
That is really exciting, truly groundbreaking. So like I said, cool stuff happens all around the world. It's not just Silicon Valley anymore. Beautiful. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Hey, before we go to our next entrepreneur, I know that some of you, I just got some messages, and I just want to make sure that I apologize to the people that are at the South by Southwest building. There ended up being a problem between South by and the building concerning our event tonight, and so that's why we initially started going virtual. We will have face-to-face campfires. We've already gotten confirmation that we're going to have space. We'll do it hybrid. I just want to apologize because I know that that's creating some. I just got a note from Chris Schulerman saying that there's 3 of y'all there in the lobby now. Apologize again about the change. And we tried to overshare about what happened and all that sort of stuff, but obviously we didn't get everyone. So thank you for your patience. And Chris, make sure if you can grab everyone's name and number, and I'd like to make sure we follow up with them. So thank you for the note, Chris, and thanks for your patience for those of y'all that went out there and that we didn't get to take care of in person. All right, for our next entrepreneur, let me see if I can switch to the next slide. Megan and Kristen are here. Which one of you is going to actually introduce what y'all are up to?
But I'd love for Kristen to chime in too, because she's been awesome at helping get this very first program up and running. So I'm the co-founder of ATX Women in Web3. I've got a number of different things as well. I also have my own company offering outsourced CFO services for startups and growth stage companies. So ATX Women in Web3 is really a community organization that's dedicated to empowering women who are building in next generation tech. So a lot of our community over the past 3 years has been in the Web3 space, but as AI has gotten more and more ramped up, we've seen a lot of overlap in that space as well. So we host a number of different events around everything from just like pretty casual meetups to bigger scale events. They're usually tied to like either a big blockchain conference that's coming through Austin, South by Southwest, that type of thing. So this year we're kicking off the very first cohort of the Fem Founder Bootcamp. So this was really our first attempt at addressing the gender disparity in venture funding. I don't know how many people here are aware of the statistics, but about 40% of businesses are owned or operated by females, yet females only receive, or femme identifying individuals receive less than 2% of venture funding. So we thought it would make sense to pull together experts and with founders who can help collaborate. So we've built this whole curriculum. I might have some more on the next slide. It's been a couple days since I looked at this, so we've got 8. We actually ended up with 8 topics ranging from everything from grants and fundraising to Web3 and AI tools for business productivity. And each of the different curriculums is really structured to talk about a core thing that we all need to know as founders. So this is really geared towards femme identifying individuals and founders who are either actively founding or trying to figure out, trying to know what they don't know. And one of the sessions we'll have is about managing through just the life cycle of entrepreneurship. We're calling that From Burnout to Balance. So trying to bring in some of the really practical things like marketing, brand design, and storytelling, but also some of the real things that we all face as founders and entrepreneurs. And each session is going to have an interactive exercise that the instructor puts together. You can think of that kind of like homework, and then we're packaging all that up together into a workbook that can be made available. So this is the very first cohort we're doing. It does kick off tomorrow, and we've got registration will close at 9 a.m. Central Time, and we've got a number of founders already signed up. The very first cohort class will start at 2. So I'm really excited just to bring this out. And Kristen, if you'd like to jump in and say a few words, I'd love to hear.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to add to Megan's great pitch that if you know anyone who might be interested in learning more about starting a business, particularly in the AI or Web3 space, please, please, please share this with them. We've had a kind of a late rush of some last minute signups in the last day or so. So I know that people might be willing to do that. So please spread the word. We've got great instructors and mentors set up to help founders through this. And as a former female founder myself, this is the kind of information that would have really, really like leveled me up a lot faster if I had a program like this when I launched my business. So if you have anyone in your network, I just ask that you push it along to them to see if they're interested in joining us. But thanks for hearing us talk.
And the registration's in the chat. Oh, and there's our list of our all the great topics we're going to cover.
Perfect. Well, I tell you what, thank you for sharing that. Follow-up information will be in the community site. I've always been proud of having Tech Ranch host a number of women entrepreneurship programs just because, I think it's really important to create access. The whole key thing, as an early stage entrepreneur here in Austin, it's because I didn't go to a certain school, I wasn't really accepted by the lead VC fund here at the town. It was really kind of a weird thing to experience that, you hear those kind of stories, once you live one, like I did this as a guy, right? It's like not as a woman, but it's kind of really weird. So I want to make sure that there are on-ramps for all entrepreneurs all around the world. And part of it is about just taking programs like Megan and what Kristen are doing and creating a bigger platform for that. So thank you all for being here and look forward to doing more activities. And Megan, I have some follow-up on the activities. I hadn't even gotten to send you a message yet. There's another group in town that is looking at supporting the activities of our combined efforts on that. So we'll talk later.
Thanks for having us, Kevin. That was great.
Yeah, great to have you here. All right, so next, let's see. One more slide, sorry. Next, did Bucker get to make it into, he was having some difficulties earlier when he sent me a message. Bucker, are you here? All right, looks like maybe not. There was a last minute. So Bucker is originally from Ramallah. I met him originally in Ramallah. He rolled out his platform into Jordan and now is in the Techstars program that's in Boston and is about to start engaging in helping utilities in Chihuahua, which is the desert, or they're at least starting conversations there about applying technology that's been refined in the desert around Jordan to northern Mexico. So really interesting stuff. If you want to hear more about what he's up to, go to flowless.co. It's always interesting to see how insight in one part of the world can drive activities and drive solutions in another part of the world. When we start thinking about the insight, we can leverage all this insight as an example. This is a great example about that. And yeah, Bucker, if you get a chance, definitely will. I'm a fan. He's got a story as well that if we had more time, I'd get him to tell, but we'll do that next time. Okay, so this is what I want to do is part of the thing about it, about this is, actually, I'll stop the share just for a second and say this. Part of the idea about this is, the 4 different entrepreneurs we just heard from, or the 4 different platforms that we just heard from, like the 4 different startups. Part of what we want to do is like several of you, I'm sure, will send me a note. Like in the past, it would be, hey, that guy that's doing that artificial limb thing that, wow, how did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. What I want to make sure is, don't come to me. Let's make sure we go directly to these entrepreneurs. But part of what we're going to do, actually, let me tell you one more quick story. The whole reason that the Campfire got started is in Austin at the time, and this is, 20 years ago, I was known as a connector, right? Connected to lots and lots and lots of people. Quite literally, one of my programs, or this program, more than 10,000 people worldwide have gone through. And individuals would come to me and think that I have something special. I just happen to remember a lot of the connections around the world. That's just, that's the only thing that's really special about me. But part of what I started noticing was I mean, 1 week, I got invited to 15 different coffees. That's not hyperbole. That was 1 week of request. And I realized there's no way that I can have that much caffeine because I'm naturally this hyper. As you see me kind of present, I'm naturally that hyper. And so part of the thing that I wanted to do, though, was create a situation where you all could connect and drive that value back and forth and discover what I know about each one of especially for the people that were here before we started recording, right? And before all the formal stuff, the shout outs and stuff like that. Like, part of the thing I want you to be able to do is that same type of thing. And so I came up with a way of doing this, and quite literally, more than 10,000 people worldwide have gone through this now. And it's really powerful. And there's this guy that I used to work for. His name's Steve Jobs. One of the things that I learned when I worked at his startup called Next was I learned the idea of being totally unreasonable about the request that you would make. So part of what we're going to do is this. We're going to actually have each one of you get a chance to connect in groups of 5. You're going to just have like 5 people in your group. And part of what we're going to do is have you go through the following framework. You're going to have 2 minutes per person. We're going to do breakout groups. And in those groups, part of what I want you to do is listen. Everyone's going to share a name. My name is Kevin Koym. What's your offer? What's your offer? What is it that you are a total badass at? Like you're like, you do it naturally and all that sort of stuff. For me, it's connecting people around the world. And I'm the type of person to have around when you want to get the product off the ground and you want to get the company off the ground in those early stages. I know using the parlance in the venture world, I know how to go to from 0 to 1. I've done that a lot of times in my career. But I'm not your long-term VP of engineering, and I'm not your long-term VP of sales. I just know how to close the first few sales, and I know how to get the technology off the ground. I've proven that over and over and over. I'm the type of person to ask. So that's my offer. What's your request? What's your request? What is the one thing, or maybe 2 or 3 things, that would truly move your venture forward? What we're going to do is we're going to break out into groups using the Zoom group structure, and you're going to have a chance to do this. Now, have someone in the group listen in and kind of be timing, and please do keep it 2 minutes per person, because we're going to actually do this in 10-minute cycles. We're going to do one, and then based on what happens, we'll probably do another one, and then we'll be done, and that'll be the end of the day. A lot of times people will go into these type of experiences and they'll say, hey, I'm just here to network. I just want to say hi. Just kind of wanted to find out what Kevin was doing, blah, blah, blah. And let me tell you, in my best Steve Jobs, that's bullshit, right? Don't do that. What I want you to do is be unreasonable. If there's one thing that would really move your venture forward, and not just money, because if you had the money, you were going to spend it on something. What would you spend the money on? Ask for that. All right. A handful of my team members are also in the audience. So you'll hear some of the stuff from TechRanch proper. But the truth is that even for my team members, it's totally okay for you not to ask for anything for TechRanch. Make sure that you're pushing your own agendas, whatever they are, forward as well. All right. Any questions before? Raise your digital hand if you have a question about what I'm asking you to do really quick. I'll go ahead and do this again. I'll just make sure that you know that it's name, offer, request. We're going to do this really quick. We'll hop in and out very quick and then go around. Declan, if you're ready, let's go ahead and telegram on over there. You ready, Declan?
Yes. They are set and everybody's going to be sent right now.
Sounds great. See you guys in a second.